Good morning and welcome to your Wednesday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum. Here with some words of wisdom to get you thinking and motivated for today. Where do I even want to begin? I think I'm going to begin with the fun stuff. So, I'm going to wait for a few of you to pop on, but let's just breathe first. A couple of nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good morning, Beth. You're the first one here today. Welcome, welcome. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Relaxing, releasing, letting your shoulders drop. Good morning, Abigail. Welcome, welcome. Glad you are here. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Welcome to the two others of you that have popped on. Cindy, good morning, good morning. My number count was going up, but names weren't rolling yet, so glad you're here. And we're still short one name rolling, but welcome to everybody. Glad you are here. So, going to be an awesome day today. I'm busy. I've got lots of different things I'm going to be running around like a little water beetle, too. So, good morning, Judy. Welcome, welcome. So, first I want to show you something fun. So, yesterday I ran to Green Bay to drop off a Mary Kay order and see my friend Megan. Good morning, Janine. Welcome. And she had a little gift for me. First I want to show you the card. It's quilling. Remember paper quilling? Where you wound the paper up into the this little dude is all paper quilling. I just thought that was the coolest card. And then, to add to my collection, a Believe pillow. Isn't that cool? So, I have to find the perfect location for that. But I was telling Megan, I think I counted the Believes on my desk, and there's 12 of them. Want to make sure it sinks in. Yes. So, and today's word is going to fit very well with that. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome. Hope you got some great feedback on Monday. Sending up good juju for you. So, we'll take our, we're up to 7 or 8 already. Wow, 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 wow. That's awesome. So, just wanted to share 9, my fun little gift with all of you. Yeah, so I've got Believe everywhere. Here's, as I'm looking, here's another little one another little Believe. So, just, again, keep me totally immersed in, I've got a plan, Spirit is guiding it, I just need to take my steps forward. Good morning, Mel. Welcome, welcome. So, proceeding on my path, right? Proceeding on my path. That's what we're here to do. Keep stepping forward in faith. When we hit a perceived obstacle, understanding that all that really is a break in our stride. What do we need to do with that obstacle, which is probably an opportunity wrapped up in an obstacle-like package? And I've been saying that quite frequently because it's the nature of the beast. When we had the meeting with the mayor on Monday, that was one of the first things he said. I want you all to know that I'm really excited about what you're doing. Basically, please hang in there when you hit the inevitable obstacles. It's part of the process. We do not move forward by quitting. We do not move forward by quitting. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you are here. So, thus today's card, Wild Offering Deck by Tosha Silver. And this is about turning things over. So those of you who've been part of 12-step programs understand this concept of we need to release, we need to let go, we need to allow the things we don't control anyway to not control us by us worrying about them, fretting about them, hanging on, trying to manipulate, trying to make things happen, trying to insist on certain outcomes. Turn it over. Let it go. Put it in your God jar. Let it be. So today's card, first I gotta show you the back as always, right? Let's start radiation in January as a precaution. Okay. Fabulous. Fabulous. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. And again, view radiation as a tool that works with your amazing body, mind, body, spirit system that already knows how to heal. Already knows this. Good morning, Jobel. Glad you are here. So the radiation, if you had to have chemo, any of those things are merely the tools that assist your body that already knows how to do all this healing stuff, right? So that's the thing. We get our body as finely tuned as we can, our mind, our spirit, the whole kit and caboodle, as my mom used to say. so that it's all working together, right? And that's kind of part of today's card too. But first of all, I want you to show you Ganesh on the back of the card. Ganesh, who is the remover of obstacles. So we've been talking about obstacles today. Good morning, Tira. Glad you are here. Seeming obstacles. Oftentimes those obstacles are there to inform our process. If we bump into something, it's when we work through that, our path forward is going to be more precise, right? So obstacles serve a purpose. Obstacles serve a purpose. Our word for today, a word that's near and dear to my heart, empowerment. Empowerment. That's one of the reasons I love this word. That's one of the reasons I picked it for my business, empowerment coaching, because I think when we help people step into their sovereignty, into their own power with working for themselves and others, we create a much better world, right? So I'm going to show you the little flowers around it because I think they're so pretty. The artist on this deck is Katie Daisy. So empowerment. Again, some nice deep belly breaths. Let's get your whole system opened up, ready to receive this. When you ask the divine to take over, you get pulled into your own authentic power. Right, you become that instrument. So you have access to all of this power, not just the power that's within you, which is huge in and of itself when you get it all working together and headed in the right direction, but the power that's everywhere. And some people struggle again with the word power, but we're not talking coercive power, manipulative power, power over. We're talking power with. That ability, I always think of Martin Luther King Jr. when I think of power with. Incredibly powerful human, working with, not trying to power over. Okay, so that's the distinction. So you get pulled into your own authentic power. It's a force of inner love that wants your wholeness and magnificence. Because when you are in your wholeness and magnificence, you are offering the world as much of yourself, your best self, as you can. Think about that. If even 10% of the world's population offered the world their best, most magnificent whole self, how different our world would be. How different our world would be. We get scraps of people. We get the leftovers. We need to rethink that. We need to rethink that. And I love when I get a couple of different newsletters during the course of the day. Heather Cox Richardson is one of them. And I love when someone is very spot on with who they are, what they're bringing together, the resources they use to create the positions they take, etc. I just love listening to people who are very wise about things, right? They're not trying to manipulate. They're not trying to force an opinion. They're merely sharing theirs so that you have some grist for your own mill to make your own decisions. Make your own decisions. In this world we are living in, we do not need more lemmings. What happens with lemmings? First one goes over the cliff and the rest of them go right over the cliff too. We don't need lemmings. We need people who think for themselves. We need people who are discerning. Lazy people are the ones who say, tell me what to think and I'll think it. People who are willing to honor the gifts they've been given, think for themselves. Think for themselves, make their own decisions about things. And this particular newsletter, today's newsletter, I really love this one because she's talking in there about Liz Cheney having been on Rachel Maddow and how, I'm just going to read this part because this to me is so cool. Guy from Forbes magazine took note of Maddow's introduction last night, in which the host stressed the importance of protecting democracy. Good morning, Deb. She began by emphasizing how much she and Cheney disagreed about everything in politics, so much so that it was as if they were on different planets at war with each other. Maddow made that point, she said, because in civic terms, in sort of American citizenship terms, I think is really important how much we disagree. It's important how far apart we are in every policy issue imaginable. It is important that Liz Cheney is infinity and I am negative infinity on the ideological number line. It's important because it tells you how serious and big something has to be put to us to put me and Liz Cheney together on the same side of something in American life. I just thought that was so cool that they're acknowledging how much they disagree on everything, yet they're coming together to make this particular point. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. We're not going to get ahead by being divisive. We are only going to move forward by reaching across differences to find common ground. Good morning, Peggy. Glad you're here. There's 12 of you here right now. This is awesome. So back to our word, empowerment. Empowerment. So I want you to close your eyes. Not if you're driving. I want you to close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. Let it go. And when I say that word, empowerment, where in your body do you embody empowerment? Where in your body do you embody empowerment? For me, oftentimes it's either chest or solar plexus. That's where I feel it. Sometimes it's hands, but right here, right now, where are you feeling it? Where are you feeling it? So I want you to breathe into that. And I want you to allow it to become stronger. Ventilate it with your breath. Pema Chodron's way of putting it. I love that. Ventilate it with your breath. Build it up. Let that empowerment become stronger. Because again, this is empowerment. Embodying your power. And using it for things that matter to bring people together. Good morning, Pat. Glad you are here. Welcome. So, this to me is one of those videos too where you might want to go back and listen to it over and over and over again so that you can step out of the old limiting mindset that power's a bad thing, power corrupts, power's coercive, blah, blah, blah. Stepping into that embodied empowerment such that you're able to speak your truth, such that you're able to share your opinion and reach across to those who share very different opinions, allowing the tension of those to coexist. Good morning, Susan. Welcome. Because in that tension is where growth happens. If I say A, you say B, and we kind of go, isn't that interesting? A and B, here they are, together. Let them kind of do their thing together. We don't have to, it's kind of like the cauldron. We allow it to perk. Allow it to perk. We don't have to try to, fabulous, good, Judy, glad to hear that. Group of women who endorse empowerment. Yes, stepping into it is so important, particularly for women, particularly for groups of people who've been marginalized over time, claiming our voices, stepping forth with our voting authority, with our whatever ways we can make a difference. Make a difference. It's time for people who've been silenced to be heard. To be heard. And that doesn't mean we have to yell on the mountaintops, although we might. But it certainly means stating, that doesn't work for me. I'm not on board with that. Would you like to hear my opinion? Can we allow those opinions to coexist? Are we wise enough, powerful enough, centered enough to allow maybe our opinions to modify, to be changed by what information that comes in from others? I know many people who are reading things that they wouldn't typically read, or talking to people who are on the other side of the ideological fence, to try to understand, okay, help me understand how you think this, how you came to believe this, what is your evidence, how are you processing this, right? Because sometimes when we put people in that position, they can say, that really is an untenable belief. I didn't think that one through. I just soaked it up from wherever. I didn't think it through. So when new information comes along, the sign of a good thinker is they're willing to take in that information and see how it dovetails with what they already believe. And then they hone and shape their own belief system based on incoming knowledge. Now, here's the difficulty. First, I need a drink. Oftentimes, we don't know what we don't know. And we don't have ways of discerning. So I'll give you an example. My sister's doctor gave her a research study, a meta-analysis, which for those of you who aren't familiar with the scientific stuff, means they took a bunch of different studies and put them together. It was on the same topic, but they put them together to get more oomph to their results. When you have a larger group of people that you've studied, your results become more robust, okay? So her doctor gave her this article as a potential treatment protocol for herself. She sent it to me and my sister, who's a pharmacist, and said, I don't get this science stuff. Can you read this and tell me what it says, basically? So, and I had done some research on a different process earlier, a couple of months ago, that was really robust, had a lot of data, was getting fabulous outcomes, blah, blah, blah. And I had sent that to her. So I read this article and I'm like, ooh, ew. Good morning, Kathy. Glad you are here. It was a meta-analysis, but overall it only had 444 subjects. That is not a lot. Oftentimes in meta-analysis, you have tens of thousands of people. It was also utilizing old stuff. There's much newer stuff, and it only mentioned the newer stuff and basically said with the newer stuff, there was no treatment effect. So I'm looking at this article going, why the hell would her doctor give her this? But then I realized it's an MD. They don't have necessarily a lot of research background either. So not able to judge that this really wasn't a great article. It really wasn't good research. So then had a conversation with her about, why are you blowing off the one that I sent you, which really is good research and has some pretty significant outcomes that are great. So then she rethought it, headed down that path. But when we don't know something, when we don't know how to evaluate something, so I'll give you my example. I have no idea how to evaluate building costs, how much a budget ought to be for this project I'm doing. I have to rely on architects and builders and those whose wheelhouse it is for that kind of a thing. We need to do that with all the information that's coming at us also. How do I know this is valid? How do I know this isn't just a great soundbite someone's putting out there that's grabby and catchy, and so I pick it up and run with it? And I think a lot of people in the American population don't have the skill set to do that discernment. So what I'd invite all of those people who are feeling like, I don't know how to analyze this stuff, I don't know how to judge the results of what this person is saying, ask people who you find have the skill set, those who do research or those who do analysis, those who steep themselves in this stuff in a, I'm going to use a word here, democratic way, where they're open to hearing other information, they're open to doing the analysis on all the information, not just the stuff that fits with their ideological viewpoint, right? Because you see those people who are locked into this endless loop using rhetoric to support their claims. And when you challenge something, well, explain to me how you came to believe that piece. Because it seems to me that that doesn't work because of this. If you get pushback, if you get resistance, if you get someone who's like, no, 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 they're doubling down on what they believe, that's not a person you want to rely on in terms of what they're espousing. That stuff is coming from that emotional, I've grabbed onto this piece because it fits with making me feel better, not I've assessed this, I've looked at the other side or the 5 other ways of looking at this, I've evaluated it for myself, and here's what I believe and why. And can't have that conversation with you. Like, again, don't take opinions from people you wouldn't gladly trade places with. If I see someone who, like, I believe Heather Cox Richardson's very good at looking at the data, looking at the information, and saying, here's what I believe and why. If you believe something different, fabulous. Explain to me how you came to believe what you believe, what shores up that opinion of yours. That's a discourse we have to get back to. we have to get back to on all fronts, okay? Even in marriages, in dealing with our children, in working with our coworkers, that's what we need to get back to. And we can practice it quietly. But it really, I think that's empowerment. I think that's empowerment. When we can have a conversation with someone who believes the diametrically opposed point of view from us, and we can be curious and we can have that conversation. Well, what about this? And what about this? Okay, isn't that interesting? I guess we're going to be in the place where neither one of us has budged on our opinion, or I'm willing to step this way because I've heard what you said and I'm going to go look that up. And isn't this interesting? You know, a much more open perspective. Okay. So I traveled pretty far afield there. That's okay. Empowerment is our word for today. Let me read the card again. Yes, I can certainly circle back to that. Where that came up, where I saw that phrase, why would you take the opinion of someone you wouldn't gladly trade places with? I can't remember what book it was in, but it was someone working, a coach working with a woman who owned a business and was having some business difficulties, and her older brother, who she had always valued his opinion, basically, close your doors. What's the point? You're never going to get anywhere with this business anyway. And the coach said to her, your older brother, the one who's 53 years old, living on your mother's couch, hasn't worked in 10 years, that brother? Yep. Why would you take the opinion of someone you wouldn't gladly trade places with? Okay? So if someone says something to me, well, I believe X. And I ask them, okay, how did you come to believe X? What are the resources you use to back yourself up in believing X? And they have a good description of Y, etc. I might begin to believe X. I might abandon my opinion of Y and go with X. Certainly, we've all learned things over time that have made us change our mind, right? Cool, Deb. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, it's just, there's people whose opinions we value, but we want to take a look at, why do I value this particular person's opinion? Why? Why do I value their opinion? Is it because they're the loudest? Is it because they're the most convincing, but there's nothing but fluff behind it? Is it because it gives me an answer and therefore I feel more confident, more grounded, whatever, even though that answer doesn't have any basis in reality? Okay? So question yourself. Be your own discernment. Okay? So let me read our empowerment card again. When you ask the divine to take over, you get pulled into your own authentic power. It's a force of inner love that wants your wholeness and magnificence. Unfold my true and radiant self, dear Lord. So, practice today. Empowerment. What's empowerment going to look like for you? It doesn't have to be loud. It can be quiet, but it can be very grounded and very centered and very solid. That's what we're aiming for. So have an awesome Wednesday. I've got a busy one. I'm going to be running around from one thing to another, but by the end of the day, then I'll be tired and sleep well. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you are capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.